Hello and welcome. This is Business Now, reaching you live from iBrandTV News Studio in Lagos. Coming up now, Lagos State Internal Revenue Service tasks businesses and employers of labor on statutory obligation to file annual income tax returns. Confusion as Nigeria's Senate President claims President Buhari had not directed anyone to implement removal of petroleum subsidy. Stakeholders query introduction of daily transport tax of 800 naira to Lagos government coffers. UK inflation hits near 30-year high, pressuring BOE and households. Glad to have you join us, and here are business stories making the headlines at this hour. I am Perpetua Fasumi Peter. Now the news in detail. Nigeria's Senate President says President Muhammadu Buhari had not directed anyone in his government to implement the removal of subsidy in petrol. Lawan, who spoke with newsmen after a closed-door meeting with Buhari at the State House Abuja, said he was in the villa to convey the feeling of his constituents on the planned fuel subsidy removal and other issues to the president. However, the Trade Union Congress TUC on Tuesday expressed support for the federal government's plan to end fuel subsidy payments in the country. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, had announced last October that the federal government made provision for petrol subsidy only for the first 6 months of 2022 as the government looked towards complete deregulation of the sector. Lawan added the federal legislators were worried about the different agitation and planned protest around the country, necessitating the discussion with the president. According to him, the subsidy cannot be transferred to citizens, even as he expressed doubts on the 100 million litres of petroleum motor spirits PMS said to be consumed per day in the country. The Lagos state government has announced that with immediate effect, every bus plying the roads in the state must pay a daily tax of 800 naira to government coffers, which amounts to an annual levy of 288,000 naira. But the leadership of the National Union of Road Transport Workers, NURTW, in the state has made it clear that the tax was different from its collection. The development comes on the heels of a research carried out by an independent body in 2021 that had revealed that Lagos generated not less than 125 billion naira annually from collection of levies from the transport sector. Speaking during a media briefing in Ikeja to intimate members of the public on the newly introduced levy, the Commissioner for Finance, Dr. Rabiu Olowo, said each transporter would be entitled to a tax card daily to have a hitch-free exercise, adding that the levy would serve as payment of tax by the transporters. According to Olowo, the briefing followed the signing of an agreement among stakeholders in the transport sector to harmonize tax payment by transporters in the state. The Nigerian Exchange All Share Index says rebounded by 138 billion naira amid renewed price appreciation in medium and large capitalized stocks, amongst which are BUA Foods, BUA Cement, Dangote Sugar Refinery, Conoil and Skyway Aviation Handling Company. The NGX All Share Index ASI grew by 256.23 basis points, or 0.58%, to close at 44,655.89 basis points, while the overall market capitalization value gained 138 billion naira to close at 24.060 trillion naira. Performance across sectors was broadly positive as 4 out of 5 coverage indices, banking, industrial goods, consumer goods, and oil and gas indices closed in the green. The insurance index was the sole loser. The Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, LIRS, has reminded businesses and employers of labor of their statutory obligation to file annual income tax returns, pursuant to Section 81, subsection 2 of the Personal Income Tax Act, PITA, Cap P8 LFN 2004, as amended. The Act, according to a statement, stipulates January 31st as the deadline for filing of annual income tax returns, failing which penalty accrues. The Executive Chairman of Lagos State Internal Revenue Service, Mr. IOD, in a statement, urged all businesses and employers of labor residents within Lagos State to file their annual income tax returns on or before January 31st, 2022 to avoid payment of penalties as well as other statutory sanctions. A Nigerian tech entrepreneur, Joel Popola, has been appointed to head the task force to improve trading ties between Africa and the United Kingdom. Popola, a digital democracy campaigner and the creator of the Rate Your Leader app, is to lead a special interest group for Africa established by the UK Institute of Directors, one of the world's oldest and most prestigious business leader group. According to him, the IOD Africa SIG will stimulate business opportunities, increase networking, and grow awareness of British businesses in Africa and African businesses in Britain. The IOD Africa SIG will be launched in London on May 19, 2022, with all African diplomatic missions and some heads of state expected to attend. With a daily underperformance figure of 78,000 barrels per day in December, Nigeria lost as much as 2.418 million barrels of crude in the last month of 2021. Data released by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC showed on Tuesday. However, Brent oil, Nigeria's benchmark, rose further yesterday to close at $88 per barrel, having earlier hit $88.13, the highest since October 2014. The month of December, according to the OPEC report, also saw Nigeria slumps lower than other previous production performances compared to, for instance, October, in which 1.228 barrels were pumped per day, and November, during which 1.275 million barrels were produced per day. The federal government has begun processes for the implementation of the 0.5% of GDP allocated to science, technology and innovation (STI) to boost creativity and socio-economic development in Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari had declared at the 2021 edition of the annual STI Expo that 0.5% of the country's GDP will be channeled towards the development of STI to ensure continuous productivity and sustainability of the nation. The Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Ogbonnaya Onu, speaking at a consultative meeting aimed at developing strategies for the implementation of the allocation on Tuesday in Abuja, stated that countries that have made giant strides in sustaining their economy invest in the STI sectors, which have guaranteed their continuous growth as well as sustain their industrial development. Africa Finance Corporation AFC has raised $400 million in a new syndicated loan to support the post-pandemic recovery through critical development of infrastructure. The three-year facility, the first from AFC since 2018, was increased from an initial target of $300 million as strong interest from investors led to the offering being 2.5 times oversubscribed. The proceeds will facilitate upcoming infrastructure projects that address the continent's developmental challenges. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry (LCCI) has called on the federal government to desist from borrowing expensive loans. LCCI President Olawale Cole stated this during its budget analysis session tagged Budget Analysis for Business Intelligence, what the figures and policy statements mean for business in Lagos. Similarly, Bismarck Ruwani, who was the keynote speaker at the event, averred that cost efficiency, among other things, would further deepen Nigerian companies' contribution towards the development of the Nigerian economy.
Local content is obvious, right? It's pretty obvious. Local content depends on your cost efficiency. Today, even if you lift the import restriction on cement, no sane man get into Nigeria, because the cost of producing a bag of cement or a ton of cement by Lafarge, Dangote, Boa, and anywhere else. So what are we doing? We met our requirement and exporting. This thing comment the commodities. It was announced this morning that a major investment, commodity investment in the world, made by the Australian company in Mozambique. For what? For a product commodity called graphite. Graphite is what is needed for the batteries and for electric vehicles. Now, the largest graphite manufacturer and source in the world is in China. Tesla have committed to take all the graphite produced in Mozambique, which is the largest point in the world, to process in the United States so that they can have electric vehicles. All of a sudden, Mozambique is in play, 10 times more in play than Nigeria. They have the largest LNG gas reserves. They now have graphite, they have other things. So, I would say that local content is important, but cost efficiency of producing local content will drive it. So, it's not either or. It is you must put all of this together. When you put all of this together, you become efficient, you become competitive, both domestically, and you will actually leverage on your comparative advantage.
Shares fall. Details on more business updates after this commercial break. Stay with us.
Mama, you're coming to Lagos. Banga. Baby, Mama just called me now. She's coming to see you. She asked me to tell you to make banga soup for her. And she's close to the house. Oh.
How do you expect me to prepare banga in just few minutes?
Ah.
I have a solution for you.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
If you need to cook the banga, you're not going to enter my family.
Pali banga is used in making other exotic dishes such as banga jollof rice, banga efo riro, banga asaro or yam porridge, banga egusi, and many more. Pali banga is easy to open, no preservatives, no cholesterol, and no coloring. Approved by NAFDAC. Manufactured by Pali Agro Products Limited. Available in all leading stores and supermarkets nationwide.
Pali banga, natural palm fruit extracts for tasty African cuisine.
Glad to know you stay with us. Moving now to stories from Africa. The National Pension Association says the Social Security and National Insurance Trust SSNIT increment of pensions in the country despite the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic is commendable. SSNIT last week announced that pensioners in Ghana should expect about a 10% increase in their pensions for 2022. Speaking to CT Business News on the sidelines of the 5th Quadrennial Delegates Conference of the National Pensioners Association, Acting General Secretary of the group, Stephen Borke, stated that SSNIT exceeded its expectations. SSNIT, in a press statement, indicated that the decision was arrived at in consultation with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority, NPRA, and in line with Section 80 of the National Pensions Act 2008, Act 766. South Africa's inflation rate moved closer to the top of the central bank's target range in December, highlighting the difficult choice between taming price growth and supporting a sluggish economy policymakers will face when deciding on interest rates next week. The annual inflation rate rose to a near 5-year high of 5.9%, compared with 5.5% in November. Statistics South Africa said Wednesday in a statement on its website. The median of 19 economists' estimates in a Bloomberg survey was 5.7%. The December reading brought the average inflation rate for 2021 to 4.5%, matching the central bank's estimate published at its November Monetary Policy Meeting Committee. And now to the foreign scene, Asian and European shares fell. U.S. and European bond yields hit multi-year highs, and oil prices climbed on Wednesday as investors braced for tighter monetary policy to combat troubling levels of inflation. U.S. Treasury yields fresh 2-year highs, and Germany's 10-year yield rose above 0% for the first time since May 2019. As investors hike bets that policymakers will curb years of stimulus in order to fight rising asset prices. The benchmark German bond shift to positive yields marks a turning point for euro area debt, reflecting record high inflation that is being exacerbated by supply chain disruption. Inflation in Britain rose faster than expected to a near 30-year high in December, intensifying a squeeze on living standards and putting pressure on the Bank of England to raise interest rates again. The annual rate of consumer price inflation increased to 5.4% from November's 5.1%, the highest since March 1992, the Office for National Statistics said. Economists polled by Reuters had expected a rise to 5.2%. Financial markets now price in a more than 90% chance that the BOE, the Bank of England that is, will raise its main interest rate to 0.5% on February 3rd. Last month, it became the world's first major central bank to tighten policy since the start of the COVID pandemic. And up next is entertainment news.
Hello, this is Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanum. Microsoft Corporation is buying Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion in the biggest gaming industry deal in history as global technology giants stake their claims to a virtual future. The deal, announced by Microsoft on Tuesday, is biggest ever and set to be the largest all-cash acquisition on record, will bolster its firepower in the booming video gaming market, where it takes on leaders Tencent. It also represents the American multinational's bet on the metaverse virtual online world, where people can work, play, and socialize, as many of its biggest competitors are already doing. Activision shares were up 26% at $82.10, still a steep discount to the offer price, reflecting concerns the deal could get stuck in regulators' crosshairs. Next, shares in Japan's Sony Group fell 9% on Wednesday after gaming rival Microsoft said it would buy developer Activision Blizzard in a record $68.7 billion deal for the industry. While Sony's PlayStation is widely seen as having a lead in the generational battle with Microsoft's Xbox, the purchase of Call of Duty maker comes as Microsoft is aggressively expanding its Game Pass subscription service. Sony has threatened its network of in-house game studios in recent years and delivered a string of exclusive hits, including in its Spider-Man franchise, with Microsoft left playing catch-up. And that's it on Entertainment Business. I am Michelle Abanum.
Thank you, Michelle. Coming up after this break is Sports Business. Stay with us.
Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Professional dry cleaners. Best in dry cleaning and laundry services that meets the needs of our consumers. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Yeah. For clean wash and quick delivery. Yeah. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. Swift Dry Cleaners Limited. For clean wash and quick delivery. Ooh.
Swift Dry Cleaners. Clean wash, quick delivery.
Microsoft is buying video game publisher Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion, thereby bringing some of the world's biggest esport titles under its control and expanding its plans for the metaverse. The deal is the largest ever acquisition in the gaming industry, dwarfing $7.5 billion deal Microsoft reached with ZeniMax Media in 2021. Upon completion, Microsoft will become the world's third largest gaming company by revenue, behind Tencent and Sony. Activision owns some of the biggest video game properties in the world, including World of Warcraft, Diablo, and Call of Duty, while it also publishes the hugely popular Overwatch and StarCraft games. It also bought esports organization Major League Gaming back in 2016. The deal is expected to close in 2023, after which Activision would report to Spencer as a division of Microsoft Gaming. And still talking sports business, the Premier Hockey Federation has announced plans to raise each team's salary cap from $300,000 to $750,000 and add 2 more teams next season. The announcement is part of the Premier Hockey League's Board of Governors' commitment to invest more than $25 million in the league over the next 3 years. Teams with a minimum of 20-player roster will have an average salary of $37,500, while salaries for teams with a maximum of 25-player roster will average at $30,000. Individual players' salaries have no limits as long as the team's overall salary is under the cap. Players will also receive full healthcare benefits and share a 10% equity stake in their teams. And now in the world of football, Copenhagen FC owner Parken Sports and Entertainment is exploring a sale of its 38,000 capacity Parken Stadium, among other properties, with the intent of leasing it back. The team is also looking to sell 4 office buildings near its stadium and 2 water parks. The company valued its real estate portfolio at $208 million in November. Parken's stock leapt around 10% on Tuesday following the news. In June 2021, the league joined 8 others in bundling its overseas media rights into a package expected to secure $5 million to $20 million annually. Parken earned $394 million in the third quarter of 2021 revenue, a 102% year-over-year increase. The company suffered a 35.1% revenue drop in 2020, which led to a $209 million operating loss. Parken's $145.5 million in net income in the third quarter marked its first positive net income in 12 months after losses of $33.7 million, $54.4 million, and $84 million the previous 3 quarters. And finally, on sports business, many of the U.S. investors buying up stakes in football teams worldwide are reportedly based in the same region, Florida. John Textor's investment company, Eagle Football LLC, bought a 40% stake in Crystal Palace for about $123 million, an 80% stake in RWD Molenbeek, and 90% stake in Botafogo. Josh Wanda, co-founder of 777 Partners, purchased full ownership of Italian Serie A's Genoa for $175 million, while the group also has a 15% stake in Sevilla, valued at $436 million. Pacific Media Group, co-founded by Paul Conway and Chen Li, has a robust roster owning pieces of Barnsley Football Club, Esbjerg FB, AS Nancy, Osterden, and FC Thorn. Other teams with American owners include Premier League clubs Manchester United, who are owned by the Glazers, Arsenal, owned by Crank and Sports Entertainment, and Liverpool, owned by Fenway Sports Group. And that's it on Sports of Business. I'm Samson Oleide.
It's a wrap on Business Now. Thank you for watching. I am Perpetua Fasomipita. To enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now.